Film Companion gets you your film fix. Hit the bell icon and subscribe to get notified every time we drop a new video.
I'm a regular Indian middle class guy from Bombay who's, seen, films being shot at Versova Jetty, Mud Jetty and Versova Village for all my life and song and dance. And I said, एक बार तो life में करूँगा मैं. अब उसका response कैसे आता है वो देखा जाएगा.
It's almost like you look behind, are you talking to me? And it's like, हाँ, Yami ji, आप Yami ji, आप मेरे लिए Yami ji. So I've been Yami ji for him since like forever.
Since we know each other.
मैं आपको नाम से नहीं बोल सकता, मैं आपको नाम से नहीं बुला सकता Yami ji. आप मेरे लिए Yami ji, आप Yami ji जैसे दिखते हो. मैंने कहा, okay.
Yami Vikrant, it's always so lovely to see both of you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
I have to start by saying that it feels like another week, another Vikrant Massey release, right?
Absolutely.
2 weeks ago there was Cargo. A week from now there's something else. And, in my book, there's no downside to that. There's no such thing as too much Vikrant Massey. But Vikrant, I have to ask you, is there such a thing as overexposure anymore, or in the streaming world, does it not matter?
I really don't know because I haven't thought on those lines yet. I naturally don't wear that side, but even if I sit back and think of it, see, these are things beyond your control. As an actor, you go on set, you're hired to do a particular job, you do that and come back. So what the producer does with the film, when he wants to release the film, he or she, or whatever their tie-ups are, you absolutely have no say in it, and it's additional baggage for me. I really don't want to sort of bang my head in areas which I don't specialize in. So it just so happened that all these films, if you actually see, were shot last year, and they were acquired by Netflix, and they all streamed together. So these are things beyond an actor's control. And I just want to keep it as simple as I can so that I can just focus on my work and not on the peripherals that can, take my focus away. Overexposure, I really don't think so. God has been kind. People have been kind. There have been messages pouring in. There are calls coming in. And coming from someone like you who we all look up to, I think it's a good thing. There's not yet too much of Vikrant Massey, so I think I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. Yami, Ginny Weds Sunny looks like a feel-good rom-com, right? And you've
Right.
been in these spaces before. Tell me, how does it stretch you now as an actor? What do you find yourself doing within a framework like this?
Actually, not really. I really haven't done really explored this space of rom-com, for the lack of a better word for this genre. And it's sort of, we don't see many films also in this space anymore. And I think I signed this film around Bala only when I just signed, or actually just before, in fact, Bala. And I took it as a film. I took it as something which is exactly going to be fun, which is going to be light, not that intense. I'd already done Uri by then. I'd already done a couple of intense roles, in fact, by then. In my first film, although I did play a Delhi girl, but I played a bong, I played, CR Park girl, and here she is, Ginny, she's a West Delhi girl, and it's absolutely different. So for me, I thought as an actor, there have been actresses who have portrayed Delhi girls before. So for me, I thought, okay, let's see what I can add to this dimension. Let's see. I don't want to fall for that typical lingo, or you want to sound similar, or you have to sound brash to sound like a North Indian girl. So I thought, let's see within these parameters what more I can add as an actor. And as a genre, I think it's something fun. I've never danced so much before in any of my films. But for some reason, I was never given such films where I could dance my heart out. And I think same for Vikrant. And I have danced before, but on almost every song, no one gave me that opportunity. So this time I've taken it all out, I think, in this film. And it's nice to have, a film like Ginny Weds Sunny also in your roster, where we've had socially, content-driven films also. We've done, it's never enough to do, films. But this is a good breather. This is a good break from especially the kind of films that we both have been, I think, respectively doing. And I think the timing couldn't have been better. This was beyond us. It's coming at a time, middle of a pandemic, where everything is anyway so intense, and there's so much tension in the air. But so I think just 2 hours of something, something light, something fun and breezy, just with your family or your friends, I think wouldn't hurt.
For Vikrant, though, it's completely new. I mean, it was amazing. I was looking at you with the sprayed hair and the sparkly jacket and doing an item song with Badshah and Neha and Mika. Because
Yeah.
how did it feel? And because I remember Nasir Saab saying in an interview that he couldn't become a mainstream hero because he could never do it with enough conviction in the way that Amitabh Bachchan did. What was it like for you?
Uh, to be honest, at the cost of sounding pompous, because dancing and I go back really long. I've been dancing on stage professionally in front of hundreds and thousands of people since I was 7 or 8. And when I ventured into acting, by then I had already been an assistant instructor with STIPA, which is Shamak Davar's Institute for Performance Arts. And I had already been an assistant instructor. I was one of the first batch members for the special potential batch in the country. So dancing was something which I knew that okay, it's something that even if you wake me up in the middle of my sleep, I think I can do it. But I was not a trained actor. Now it was a very conscious decision. Like we've spoken, about this. Post 2003 when I saw Maqbool, it completely changed the way I started seeing cinema, or what my anticipation was. Okay, this is what the future is going to be like. So I started focusing only on on my craft as an actor. But when I came back, we shot this film last year after 15 years to be dancing in front of the camera. It just, I'm really sorry I'm saying this, but it didn't feel as if I was in an uncharted territory. I hadn't done it in front of the camera before, but the fog machine, the turpentine, the set, all of that is home, and I had a blast. And also, prior to that, we'd already done most of the film. I had, Yami ji and I can very proudly say, we had a great time working. I was absolutely comfortable there. And then, yes, I was a little nervous when we got to know that, Badshah, Mika and Neha Kakkar will be joining us on floor, will also be featuring. Now that was like, because these guys are like big superstars. And I was nervous about that. But it's a great moment. But I'm comfortable when it comes to dancing, either in front of the camera or on the stage or even in my bathroom. So I really don't think it's something that takes a lot out of me.
But tell me, for a Hindi film actor, is it essential to have at least one film like this? Yami, you were also saying that you haven't specifically done a rom-com. So is it important to have one film like this in your filmography so that producers out there know कि ये भी कर सकते हैं ये लोग? I mean, did you want to include one thing like this specifically?
There was a time when I wanted to, and that is maybe those are the films that you were referring, that I've done something like this before. But I figured, at least for myself, that if I sign a film with that mindset or with that thought process, which there is nothing wrong, because it happens, it does happen, it's not going to work for me, and it didn't work out for me then. And then I told myself, even if I didn't have any work at that time, I wish I'd gone and learned some Shaolin Kung Fu rather than doing those films with this kind of mindset. I would have learned a new craft, a new art. So these things do float around, that aisa bhi zaruri hai. People should know, you should dance, you can dance and you can look glam, and,
Glamorous,
glamorous, and you can, exactly, wo song zaruri hai, but Ginny Weds Sunny, I didn't really sign with that mindset. I really took it as the script that it was. In fact, it came my way, I think 3 years back, and it was little different in structure then, and I felt now when it came to me, and it was much better in a lot of ways as a story. Vikrant was on board. I was so excited that I'm going to be collaborating with him for the first time. So that is what excited me. I didn't really think I had no idea there's going to be a song like that, or I knew there were going to be songs, but ये नहीं पूछा था कि अच्छा ये एक remix वाला होगा, एक वो वाला गाना होगा. No, I was okay even, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. It just happened, and I'm like, yeah, cool, nice, fun, and it just happened. And so no, these are very common, their notions, but the mindset that I have right now and the perspective that I hold and with which I work, it's been a while. No, I will not fall for that.
And you, Vikrant?
Wow. For me, it was a little different than Yami ji. It was a very conscious decision, you know.
I love that
There
you
were
call her
scripts.
Yami Ji, first of all. I have to admit.
Yes. And it's
She
J I,
also.
it's not Yami G. So it's in the response is Massey G for me. Massey G slash Massey G. So whatever
Achha, but
lens
Masi.
is
She
mode
this
calls me
we are in.
Masi ji.
is this in fun,
Call
or
him
are you seriously Yami Jing and Masi Jing each other?
I'm
I
doing
think
this
it's
for
since day
fun
one.
because he started. Yeah, he's been calling me Yamiji since day one. I thought he's pulling my leg.
I've been
I
calling
thought
her
he's
Yami ji
just,
since day one.
it's almost like you look behind. Are you talking to me? And he's like, "Huh, Yamiji, Yamiji, up, Yamiji, up, Yamiji, Yamiji." So, so I've been Yamiji for him since like
Yeah,
forever. Yamiji,
since we know
नहीं,
each other.
मैं आपको नाम से नहीं बोल सकता. मैं आपको नाम से नहीं बुला सकते Yamiji. आप मेरे लिए Yamiji. आप Yamiji जैसे दिखते हो. मैंने कहा, okay. I don't know.
Yami ji सारे राज
He's
निकाल रहे हैं यहाँ
polite.
पे.
He's very polite. He's really sweet. In fact,
Sorry, Vikrant. Yeah.
No,
this
no,
is the
please,
most
not at all.
sophisticated we've ever been in a conversation where we're not
In a
cutting each
conversation,
other
because it's
and
you.
starting a conversation from another conversation because it's you. So,
Because it's you. I'm like, ऐसे मैम आई है यार सूट पहन के बैठो. But yeah, for me, it was a very different reason. You know, I was wanting to do something like this because, you know, around you there are so many people who've known you, the kind of work you've done or the kind of work you can do. Especially my childhood friends and my family, they were like, बेटा आप एक song और dance वाली film कब करोगे? तो मेरा ये था कि करेंगे, you know, पहले acting कर लें, फिर उसके बाद song and dance भी करेंगे. And I was actually very exhausted, to be very honest, on you know. Because the last 2-3 years since 2016-17 they've been so intense that I generally do not tend to disconnect so easily as much as I try to. I sometimes get work home and the set is very intense, you know, your vanity van is intense, you know, the air is really thick most of the times on sets. Also because of the directors I've collaborated with, they are such disciplinarians that you really cannot faff around on set. And even like post shooting, you are devoting whatever time you can prepping for what you have to do the next day. I decided, you know what, I think I just want to go on a shooting set, not, you know, worried or, you know, just lighter, easier, breathe a little better, and also do things that I have somewhere down the line deep inside wanted to do. You know, I'm a regular Indian middle class guy from Bombay who's, you know, seen, you know, films being shot at Versova Jetty, Mud Jetty and Versova Village for all my life and song and dance. And I said, एक बार तो life में करूँगा मैं. अब उसका response कैसे आता है वो देखा जाएगा. And also again at the cost of being sounding pompous, you know, I always wanted to take it this way. I always wanted to have a certain body of work before I ventured into borderline cliche. And I think this was the best time for me to experiment. And if people respond well, then maybe they could see me again. If not, then I'm going to go back to my shell and do things that I've been doing.
Vikrant, in an interview with Sneha, you said that you're working on brand Vikrant, but you're still 3 to 4 years away. And I was wondering, what is that? In your mind, what is brand Vikrant?
I think credibility is key. You know, I have been a huge admirer of, you know, if we talk about mainstream cinema, I've been a huge admirer of Aamir Khan, Ajay Devgn. You know, these guys have been delivering performances back to back. They are consistent. They are also getting better with age. They are producers today. They are producing their own content. So everything is only getting better and better. You know, they are like wine. They are only getting better with age. And I aspire to do that. I aspire to have a certain amount of credibility when someone knows that it's a Vikrant Massey film. It'll be worth their time. And I really don't think I'm still in a position today to, you know, fill theaters. But I hope that I'm able to do that soon. And I think that will only happen if I'm consistent with my performances. And when, you know, if there are people who can not just pick up 1 or 2 films, but maybe 8 or 10 films and say, okay, you know, this guy has been delivering consistently. And also because, you know, I'm an old school guy, really highly inspired by Rahul Dravid, very, very inspired by him. Discipline, practice is key. And these are the things that I am working towards. And I'm just 7 years old in films. When I ventured into films, I had already done 10 years of television, and it was a very conscious decision to move from there. So when I moved from there, I had told myself I will give myself 10 years in films as well, and I will only sit back and evaluate after 10 years. So I think I'm still 3 to 4 years away.
And you're doing very well. You're doing very well.
Thank you.
What I admire about the both of you is the fact that you've really put in the work. Yami, I don't know if you remember last time we talked about how long it's taken you, and you talked
I
about
remember.
not getting the kind of projects you wanted, and you still, both of you, just stayed the course. You kept doing what you wanted to do. You kept, so that pressure of not immediately being in the spotlight did not make you, did not sort of hobble you. It didn't break you. Tell me how you do that. How do you just keep your nose down and say, I'm just going to keep working, or kisi din to I will have the spotlight like the two of you have now?
No, I think we do have those days. If I look back at that time, of course, there are times when you are so bogged down by so many questions all the time and these comparisons and, constantly, with actors and actresses and my contemporaries and there's so much that you want to, so much that you want to express. But at that point of time, it's not easy. It's not easy because everything will sound like, yeah, exactly. I don't think that words can ever justify sometimes what you feel from within. And they're not necessary also. It's only your work that I figured. And I think then you lean on your family. For me, family has been the biggest strength, and nothing else. And just consistency, as Vikrant said, that whole idea is to just prove yourself, prove your mettle by work. I mean, I can say enough. I can say I'm here to be a versatile actor. I want to do this. I want to do that. This is what I deserve. This is what I'm capable of. These are the shortcomings. This is the reason why things are not working. It all just starts sounding like excuses. If you make it a habit, or if you condition your mind that if somebody asks me, this is what I'm going to say. Everything becomes on what I don't have versus what I have. So the whole idea is to be, I can only work, I can only do all these things which Vikrant is saying, which he mentioned. And I so connect with him because if your mindset is healthy, if from here you're strong and you are yourself very sure about your own talent and your own capabilities. And so that I've always been. And I know that I've had this limitation that I'm anyway not a very outgoing person. I'm not a very, socializing kind of a person. So how do I communicate? This is what I want to do, or how, this is I deserve that opportunity. So it's only your one Friday which takes you to another, and generally to have a positive outlook towards life and everything. I mean, life is not just films. It's just not my work. It's a part of my life. I mean, there's so many other things here which, you need to work on yourself and enjoy. I mean, this is such a consuming, such a heavy workplace that we're actually surrounded with all the time. I mean, back then when I watched these, classic films, we just so centered about their performance, and we enjoy those performances even today. But right now, this current generation, you're an actor, you have brands, you have events, you are lit a brand. You're expected to be a brand. You're expected to be a commodity. How do you dabble all these things and balance? So it's the center of energy has to be your own core belief in yourself and patience. And I really admire that Rahul Dravid example, because that's one example even I've given in the past. Now that I'm a cricket fan, but that resilience,
Patience is key.
and just
Patience is key.
and patience and grace in whatever you do. And that, for me, that's really important. The way you carry yourself, so that should never be compromised. I think that's a lot.
I think you must. No, you must have a lot of mental strength, Vikrant, to make a 10-year plan in a world that works on instant gratification.
That's the most
That,
meticulous and the most like accurate
Thanks.
answer that I've ever heard about
But
plan.
I,
it's
I will
amazing.
take it from Yamiji. I will take that forward from her. But that's exactly how I have also thought of things. Patience is key, and eventually it is your work that is only going to get you more work. The
Yeah.
peripherals that are concomitant with our nature of job today, whether it is social media or whether it is glamour, I really think what eventually matters is those 2 hours what you do on screen. That is what the most important thing is. And as Yamiji said, one of the main reasons why both of us, connect with each other so closely is because of our core value system. You know, I just take it as a job. For me, it's a job. Being an actor is not my lifestyle. You know, and I actually dislike it when people start treating me in a different way because of maybe a Mirzapur or maybe a death in the Ganj. I don't like that. I want others to treat it like it's just my job. Because as an actor, most of your work is done away from the camera. All you're doing in front of the camera is only executing what you've prepared for. And that important time, which you, I would say, whiling away your time doing things which are not important to your craft is something which is very, very costly for me. It's very important for me. I cannot while away that time. So I would rather utilize that time reading something, watching something, preparing for something which I am to execute in front of the camera, which is only going to help me reach out to the audiences. As I spoke about the credibility, help me with that, and eventually get me more work and help me do things that I want to do, which is act. So
Yeah.
these are things that are far more important.
Absolutely. And before I sign off, I have to ask you though, in the making of Savan video, बादशाह says to you कि मैंने इतने DMs भेजे और इतने messages भेजे and answer क्यों नहीं किया? So are you already being starry despite all of this,
No,
Vikrant? Are you already
no,
not?
no, please. It's so easy. It's so easy to jump to the other side. It's a very thin line. I am not very active on social media, as I said. I would rather utilize those hours with my family doing things that are more important. कभी कभी miss हो जाता है. Now बादशाह and I have each other's numbers. हम अभी WhatsApp पे बात करते हैं. अभी हम Instagram DM पे नहीं करते हैं बात. But it was very embarrassing. It does happen. Some days you end up missing out a few messages. But I'm not very active on social media. I'm actually off Twitter. The Instagram is the only place I interact with people.
But it's
I
happened with me.
couldn't.
It's very, I think it's very ignorant on my part, but I had no idea there's something called DMs also for the longest time. It's my sister who pointed that you have some zillionth number of DMs and from all verified accounts and my co-actors, and you've not replied. And I've not replied to anyone for like 2-3 years. So I I thought
And
maybe that's what
also,
you were
I
going to
will
say,
I
but
will
yeah,
also
I had
butt
no
this in.
idea.
I will also butt this in just for absolute clarity. I am an old school guy, and Yamiji can vouch for it. I believe in picking up the phone and
He
calling.
is.
I
He
am not
is.
even a
He
WhatsApp
is.
guy.
He is. He is.
You
He
send
is.
me a
Either
WhatsApp,
voice
I will read
messages
your
or he'll
message and
just pick
call
up.
you.
Yeah. He'll call. He'll just call.
That's better. I
Or
don't. I
or
still
he'll
call up
send you
people
a
and I wish
very.
them on their birthdays. There are no WhatsApp messages floating around. Very
Yeah,
seldom.
that he is. That he is.
Good for
Hello,
you.
Yami ji.
Listen,
क्या कह रहे
thank
हो?
you
Yami ji,
so much.
अब क्या मैसेज क्या किया? मैसेज
Yummy.
समझ नहीं आया मुझे. Hello, Yami ji. Yes.
I love it.
ऐसे बात
Thank
करता
you
हूँ मैं.
and all
हैं?
best for the film.
ऐसी बात करते
Thank you
रहो.
so much. Thank you so much. It is always such a pleasure
Thank you
chatting up with you.
so
Thank you so
much.
much.